Hello, everyone. It is time for our 89th Ask Tamily interview, I think. Yes, 89. And our guest is going to be Alexandra. Her Instagram name is FitShasha. So go follow her when we're done here if you aren't already. Um, my puppy wanted to be in the room with me very badly for this interview. So we're going to see how that works out. But she would not leave. So let's get to Alexandra. And we're just connecting now.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. Thank you so much for joining us and being our 89th interview.
I love it because it's a prime number.
Yes. So thank you for joining us. We have some questions planned for you, obviously, but we will also check in the chat as people ask things live. So we'll mix those in. And my puppy is in the room with us, which she is not normally here for interviews, but she wouldn't leave. So she must be
The more the merrier.
in, right, in getting to know you. So I hope she's not, she doesn't disturb us at all. She'll probably just lay there the whole time.
I wish right now that's what I'm missing, like an animal. to
Yeah.
help.
Oh my gosh, definitely. It makes such a difference during times like this.
I know. We just came back. We went to Kenya for Bill's birthday, and it was, such a relaxing time. And we were surrounded with animals, and my cousin had two puppies. And then we came back, and the apartment looks great from this angle, but it's literally living room. I'm in the kitchen, and that's the bedroom. That's it, So some sort of other life would be nice to,
Right.
give you a happy wag just because they're always happy,
Right, exactly. Just have their little spirit. Like they don't know everything that's going on.
Thank God.
Well, thank you for joining us, especially during this time to do an interview. And we do want to get to know you personally and obviously about the workout too. So we'll start with our favorite question, which is when and how did you get involved with the Tracy Anderson method?
So I used to be an athlete, like from high school to college. I would run, and I was a fast runner. Like I ran 10 miles at 6 minutes every day at 4 in the morning. So it was like my life and everything. And in 2010, I was hit by Leticia, by a pickup truck, and it went over me 3 times, dragged me 40 feet, and I ended up in the hospital without being able to walk or do anything. And so, what's it called? I remember, like the recovery was long, and during that same time, my older sister had been living in Spain, and she came to Philadelphia to work here. And my little sister had been watching, I think, the Oprah show where she interviews Gwyneth, and I was very jealous because they could work out, and me being so active, the only thing I could do was PT. So I remember asking my PTs, can I do Pilates? Can I do some sort of exercise? Because I went from, what saved me during my accident was that my muscles in my legs were very muscular. So that's why my femur didn't break, So I was like, thank God I like exercise,
Right.
And then it took about like 2 years more till they let me do exercise. And during this time, Marcella's body transformed immensely by doing metamorphoses. So I decided, okay, let me show this to my PT, and they approved of the exercise. They're like, it's actually very similar, to how we're doing it. But it started really slow. It was like twice a week was what I was allowed to do. And then it evolved to 3 times a week, and around that time is when I posted a first picture on Instagram, and, the hashtags were like 2013, Tam, trying to find people. And like, I found Jillian, I found Loretta, Maria, And like slowly, I was like, oh shit, there's more people that are also interested in this, so it was snowballed into,
Yeah.
hey, cool, I don't know shit about you, but we're doing the same thing and we can at least commiserate on the movements, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
since it was before streaming, it was nice to be like, oh, I did that and this helped me, like sort of seeking advice from others.
Mhm.
So it was really nice to get
Yeah,
that support. So,
definitely. Especially going through so much for you physically to
oh,
be able to get back to that kind of athlete after that accident.
it was insane because the L5 was fractured and so was my coccyx. The left side of my hip was broken in three. Uh, both my legs were broken. My knees were shattered. My ankles were shattered. So they couldn't tell me if I was going to be able to walk or not. So, you know, I remember there was a point where like I could only do this to my ankle. So from that to now dancing, I'm like, the moment I met Tracy, I was broke down. I was like, thank you because of her, and the PTs, and I give props to the physical therapists because I would be in the worst mood possible and I'd be like, I am not fucking getting up. So, oh, sorry. And
Okay.
they would be like, all right, we'll wait for you until you get up. We're not leaving you until you do this. So there was, I think, the discipline that instilled from being an athlete to then having, physical therapists like demand that you do this for an hour and a half. So the transition to doing an exercise that lasted an hour to an hour and a half wasn't so major for me. It was like, oh,
Right.
well, I'm doing this anyway. So,
Yeah.
it's a different
Yeah.
way, but so.
Right. But that's definitely good from the perspective of knowing your body needs that much exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So, when did you go into streaming then? Were you doing like metamorphosis and continuity for a while?
I was doing continuity and I finished it and as a prize. I love giving myself prizes for certain achievements.
Mhm.
Uh, and as a prize, it was like, all right, my goal was to finish by December 31st. I think it was 2013 or 14.
Okay.
And I finished on the 31st. So immediately I bought it. And I think either one of my sisters gave me sneakers and they like, it was like, my family was very encouraging because they knew how much I liked to be active. So for them to see me again moving and again very devoted to something that was giving me range of motion, like my physical therapists were like in awe, from being in a wheelchair for 6 months to, I had a second operation in 2014 to fix, I have a muscle that herniates in my right leg. Um, and I needed to fix that. And so I had to pause again. But my doctor would joke, he would bring me in the wheelchair and then he would ask, because it's a teaching hospital in Philly.
Okay.
And he would ask, like say everything that happened to me, and then his students had to like, say what they thought my prognosis is, or like where I am now. And then Dr. Fox is always like, okay, Alexandra, let's show them what you can do. And so like I get up and I move and they're like blown away, And I give props to Tracy because like the movements are really, helping your joints, the accessory muscles that is what you need for walking, for moving in general. She really does. It's not just an exercise program to, lose weight or to, have a six pack. It's like a holistic, whole body, wellness thing,
Exactly.
like there is nothing like it, you know.
Yeah, that to me is what really sets the method apart because so many methods only have a focus on strength training and not like mobility and flexibility and balance. like Tracy does.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The mobility thing is like insane. Like to like see the range of movement that I have is insane. Because like even, you know, my this bone, the collarbone was broken, my ribs were broken. And like to do this was like insane. And now to hold this week's class, you know, like to hold weights plus other weights, and I'm like,
Right.
you know, like I'll have moments where like I'm doing the exercise and I just break down and cry just because like I told her, I'm like, I can't believe that I'm doing it, first of all. Second of all, that the body will bounce back in such a nurturing way. You know, it wants to move, and like everything that she talks about, you know, it's fact. You know, it
Right.
just shows how smart her method is.
Mhm. It really does. I mean, because to think about like something like that, getting your body able to, like most people where that happened to them, they would think it was impossible. They would think that they
Yeah,
were never going to walk again, much less like be an athlete.
totally. And like that's, I think that for that reason, I also I'm competitive with myself 100%. You know, like I think that comes with being an athlete, no? And the first like 5 years that I danced every day, like I think I missed 8 days, you know, in 5 years. It was to prove to myself like you can move, you know, I think it's something very uh, inspiring how when she's talking, you know, she gets to like allow yourself to listen to yourself, because the mind is so much more powerful. And the moment that we, you know, like I say it to myself, you know, like you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you are great, you are, you know, like I pump myself up, because the brain really does like open up the paths so that your body's like, all right, we can do this, come on guys, you know, like
Right.
all the muscles are like, yes.
Right.
So,
Like people don't always realize that they have the power to control that. And it's just changing the thoughts in your mind to be
and
able
it's hard, you
to
know,
do it.
like if you met me the year that, like right after the accident, you would have been like, shit, she is depressed and a bitch. Oh, hi.
You're interrupting.
But like, you know, it took exercise, got me out of that depression. And I like I said, physical therapists and Tracy were my path to recovering who I was, you know, and giving me this like peace with who I am. So
You have a really, really amazing story. I read it when you posted a long time ago about it on Instagram and like have never forgotten it. It's so inspirational. Like to be able to see that, especially someone that, you know, was athletic, went through that and then came back the way that you have is unbelievable.
I'm I feel very lucky. I feel very blessed. I there is no moment or day that doesn't pass by, you know, where I'm like, sorry, but I'm like, fuck, I get to live. Like shit, I'm allowed to move because of my own volition, and call it a second chance, but I'm very grateful for this life, you know. I'm very grateful for like the Tamily, like it's very, it sounds very, you know, to people who don't experience joining the Tamily, they don't know how uh like I keep my account private because for me, like I vent a lot about bill, about department, about work, you know. um so for me it's kind of like a diary, and I let the people in who are doing this too, because I think that it's so cathartic. Movement will make you purge so many things, and it's kind of a blessing to find that other people also feel the same way, you know, and that you're not alone, no matter how crazy, you know, things are. So it's great. You know, like I don't even have my sisters on there. It's like
Only Tamily.
yeah, literally. I'm like my other family, the family.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So kind of on that note, who are some of the people in the Tamily that inspire you?
Shit, the list is so long. I'm like, I mean, you I've been following basically from the beginning. I feel like the Jillian, uh, Jillian and I think went through a. I was going through a breakup, and she was also going through that at the same time, and it was kind of a bonding moment for me with her. And I think that whenever I have the chance to actually have conversations, it forms a bigger uh, bond with me with people. So I think mostly I remember the people from the beginning because our interactions were so direct at that time. And that now, you know, it's fascinating to see so many more people, and I want to keep up with everybody, and it feels like impossible, you know, because it's like
Yeah.
you between like the algorithm in Instagram where you're like, shit, I missed like this is like day 8. I'm like, why didn't I see it? You know, I feel like a bad friend, you know, when you don't comment or anything.
Yes.
But like Kathy, that's on now too. Like, of course, I remember like the first conversations with everybody, but like now I know, like now it's like blank mind. Aji, I remember also like having great conversations. Kate Otis, which I don't think she's on anymore, but she was somebody that was like super funny, and I miss her. Tiffany, uh, the Rachels, because there's many Rachels
Right.
on here. Let's see,
Yes.
I'm like trying to think of names. Mona. It's hard with the tags too. You know, mine is Fit Shasha. My family calls me Shandy.
Okay.
From when I was younger, I hated Alexandra was 9 letters. My middle name is Chomar, which is Portuguese, but it's spelled Giomar.
Okay.
And for the most part in Latin America, you go by your 2 names. And so I was like, no, Alexandra's 9 letters, Gutierrez is 9 letters, and you added 5 in there? Like, no. So I decided to call myself Shandy. And my brother-in-law shortened it and calls me Shasha. So I was like, perfect.
I love it.
Shasha. Nobody will find me. So
Right.
yeah. But yeah.
Do you have any workout partners?
No, for the most part, I've gotten Bill to work out, which is great. So he works out in the bedroom while I'm doing Tracy. So most of the time I have to edit so that he's not in the video because he's doing it in his underwear. And I'm like, come on, like, leave me one movement without you in the background. You know, he's like doing yoga and you only see like his butt. And I'm like, come on.
It's funny though. I've seen him walk through in a towel before.
Yeah, exactly. I know. He's like, hey, should I walk by through your interview? I'm like, I feel like they've all seen you
Definitely.
in different ways.
Because we all know exactly who he is.
Yeah.
So tell us about the time that you got to meet Tracy. Where was
Oh
that?
my God. That was a highlight of my day. I think she was having a Vitality Week in the Hamptons, and my sisters had invited me to go visit them. My 2 sisters live in New York, and a friend of theirs invited them to go to the Hamptons somewhere, but it's so large that, you know, like I don't know. And so as I was driving there, I passed the studio and I was like, oh my God, what? Like, it's literally 10 minutes from the house. So the next morning I like worked out and I decided I'm just going to go, you know, and because I had never really met anybody and I was like blown away at the fact that I could meet people. And so I went in and it was, you know, it's so surreal when you meet each other in life. You're like, I know so much about you.
Yeah.
And Claire was there, Jillian was there, Tiffany was there, Emery was there. God, I miss her. I miss her posts. And it was like, you know, everybody was coming out of the class and like so sweaty, and I was like in heels and makeup, and I was like, "Hi, I know you." And she was like, "Hey, do you want to come next week for a class?" And I was like, "Yes." What answer? What is your answer?
Right.
So I went back to Philly, worked, and then took off, and I went back to the studio for that Friday and took a class with her, and sat with her after class and talked to her for like an hour and a half
Gosh.
on everything. And she was so sweet, so uh, you know um, giving with her time, to because all I could say was thank you, and 1,000 trying to figure out more ways, to say how much I appreciate her and what she means, because I I've always been healthy and I had always been an athlete, but to get somebody that impacts in from eating to sleeping to the moment you're up to after you're, like all of those is, you know, the magnitude of gratitude that I have for her is you don't find words sometimes.
True, definitely.
At the
Especially
same moment, like when she followed me on Instagram, I was like,
right.
what?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Um, so let me see. You've already kind of answered some of these. What would be your
Thank you.
advice to someone that is new to the Tamily or new to the method?
Oh my, ask questions, message everybody. Everybody is gonna help. Uh, there's nobody with an ego, like because everybody started at some point. So I feel like we all just want to help, and we know what the impact that this is in our lives. So I feel like everybody just wants, like, anytime a friend of mine is like, "Hey, I want to start doing it," I'm like, "Oh my God, okay, so these are the weights you have to get." you know Try out the beginners, go with that, start with the breakdowns, or do metamorphosis. I i love trying to help somebody out, because I know that those first moments when you're like, this shit is hard, you know
Yeah.
so
Yeah, exactly.
ask. Everybody's here for you. Please join the Tamily.
So Alita has a question for you, which is, what is your favorite dance?
I think I like the metamorphosis ones because it was 90 days, so I would actually get to learn them.
Mhm.
Like now, having a dance for 30 days, I like still struggle to continue learning them. So I feel like those, or like the ones from the pop star dance, like a pop star or whatever that one was, the first two dances. I never know the names. I know that I asked Loretta one time, and she like sent me like the screenshot or like the Excel list that she has,
Yeah.
which is like the mecca.
Right.
I'm like, right, that dance.
Yeah.
The names are so. The only one that I know the name is the Kiki, which I love, and then the one, I think it's called Push,
Okay.
that was on the performance platform.
Okay.
Super
Okay.
hard for me. Still, I'm that the one thing that I'm not is a dancer. Like, Bill will always be like, "You are so stiff," and I'm like, "No, I'm trying." And he's like, "You don't look like you're dancing. You look like you're jumping around." He's like, "You can follow very well." And I'm like, "I know, I can follow, I can follow
Right.
instructions, but like having like rhythm, I do not have that."
Well, luckily you don't need it.
Yeah, not for this. Yeah,
Type
thank
of
God.
stuff. But it definitely shows athleticism and especially endurance.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
totally.
yeah.
That's what I like about the dances. I think the thing that I like about the dances from Metamorphosis was having to use my brain to learn it and be so wildly confused about what the hell was going on. I'm like, what? Like, now my leg, where's my leg? Like right shoulder, and then like you're like looking, and you're like,
Yeah.
where am I moving now? I think that's, I don't know if it's torture, but I like to learn the dances the hard way. Like, I know that there's a breakdown somewhere, but I'm just gonna
Mhm.
try and
Right.
figure it out like that.
Yeah, do it until you have it.
Yeah, exactly.
What would be your advice to someone who's not new to the method, but they aren't always feeling motivated to do their workout?
Oh my God, aren't we all sometimes though? I feel like uh reach out. Like I struggled with depression a lot, and I think it's the hardest part is reaching out to somebody. You forget that you're not alone, and talking about it helps you, release it from inside. And like same as for the beginners, like reach out, like if I can be there for somebody, how people have been there for me. I mean, you know, there's people that are always going to inspire you, and they're 100% sure that they'll help out.
Yeah, that's definitely something that people don't always realize, like, especially about this community, that, not every community is the same way. But
No,
with this
I know.
one's going to help you answer a question.
No,
And there's nothing about like being new or having done it for a long time. Like
yeah,
everybody's the same. It's new to us every 7 days anyway.
exactly, exactly. I know. My friend is trying it out right now, and she just had a baby in September, so she's trying out beginners. And yesterday she messaged me, I tried Attain. Holy shit! I'm like, why did you do that to yourself? I'm struggling through it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. And like with this method, none of it's easy. Like
no,
there's no like,
there's no shortcuts
yeah, like
whatsoever.
I'll do beginners and think that should be easy and it's not.
That's what my older sister, she's been struggling to get back on it. And I was telling her, don't jump in. She's like, but I used to do Attain. And I'm like, don't just jump in it. Like,
Right.
your body has to remember. And beginners is still hard for me.
Mhm.
Like, even I'll do like, I'll try to be like, oh, it's going to be easier. So I'll put on 2 weights. And I'm like, no, shit is hard.
Right.
So you cannot fake it. you
Right.
know?
Definitely. What is something in particular that you've learned from Tracy?
To love myself. Like, I think that is something that I didn't really acknowledge before, how much impact it has on my everyday. But to love yourself, you make better choices just because of that. The you it's like an inner hug, and by showing up for yourself, you're just giving yourself more of that. And like, even on the hard days, like I said, it sounds super cheesy, but I'm like, you got this, you're beautiful, you're smart, you can do this, you're strong. All of that pep talk helps. And we are, all of us, like, we just forget that we are.
Mhm.
So
Right. Definitely. Have you faced any challenges in doing the method?
yeah, myself. Like, I am my own worst enemy. When I'll be frustrated that I can't get a move, and then I'm like, ah, like the wheel that we were doing like 2 weeks ago. I was like, why? I kept, my hands were like that far away from my body, and I was like, why can't I get it? Like, it seems so easy. No. And so I'll get in my head about it. I'll be like, ah, until you don't get it, like, figure it out. And I, especially now that I have time, I'm like asking Bill, I'm like, where are my elbows? Is it fine? Like, this elbow was like this, and he's like, no. He's like, it looks terrible. I'm like, God damn it.
He's too honest.
I know, he's
You're perfect.
he's very, very honest. It's like a blessing and a curse.
Uh-huh. That's funny. But you're right. It's like there's some things she has us do that literally your mind doesn't think you can do. So you
Yeah.
can't get it until that pathway changes.
Exactly. And it's just like, you can do it. Come on, snap out of it, you know? And like, it'll be like the first day is like sheer confusion of like, I don't know what I just did. Like, I like to go in completely blind and I'm like, I don't understand what I just did. Maybe tomorrow. And then the next day I'm like, did I get it at all? You know, I'm like, I don't understand what I got, what I didn't get. It's what is happening. And the third day and fourth day, I'm like, got it. You know, I know where to put my toe. I know where my elbows go. But it takes me, you know, a little bit too.
Yeah, and that's like part of the design that
Yeah.
People can't think like, oh, it just becomes easy for some people. It's new for us all the time. Like,
Exactly.
you have to process it
Yeah.
to be able to do it.
I know. It is amazing though, because it does give you like, the reason I like to do it before work at 4 in the morning is I think I process better work. I process better the day and like what lies ahead of me, and things seem more simple. And I know, you know, like if I'm commuting to work for like 2 hours, I'm like, so that move was the knee, you know, like I'm still thinking about it, you know, and
Right.
I'm like, I know I'll get it. I just have to think about it a little bit more.
Well, I really commend you for the early workouts. That is definitely a great way to do it if you can.
Well, I fall asleep very early too. It's not like I think Bill didn't believe me when we first started dating. I was like, listen, our date has to be at 6:30 because I go to bed around like 8:39. And he was like, what? Literally at like 9, I'm like, like gone, you know. But I think it's just, you know, like right now that we're not really doing much, it's like workout at 1 p.m., you know.
Yeah.
I have nothing else going on, so.
Yeah.
But it's only during work. If I don't have to work, I'm working out at whatever time.
Great. Do you use heat and humidity at home as well?
I had been using humidity, but then it broke down, and so right now I'm waiting. So we move um, April 30th. So I'm like, I'm not buying. I don't want to move more things.
Right.
You know, like he has a whole garage downstairs with things. I don't even know how we're gonna accomplish that. So until we move, I'm not buying. I'm like hoping that, because this is the third heater, so I'm like hoping it just pushes through.
Wow, what a crazy time for you to also be moving.
We didn't know if it was gonna happen or not, and then our realtor was like, "Hey guys, guess what? It's still moving." And I was like, "We're like, okay, I guess we're moving." You know?
Right.
Yeah, so we still have to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, definitely. With everything that's going on, social distancing and everything.
Yeah.
Crazy. What is your personal philosophy about working out?
Cheesy, but just do it. You know, Nike, great hashtag, great tag. You know, you're gonna love yourself. Your mind is gonna be in the best possible place just because you gave yourself that opportunity. You know, like even when the day, like there are days I've relaxed as when I started dating Bill, and you know, some mornings I don't get to work out, and I'll work out at the end of the day, but he knows how important it is for me, you know. So he's like, you're not gonna work out? And I'm like, no, I am. You know, it gives you more than, it's like a shower too, you know, like it's the things that refresh your brain. So
Absolutely. Body and mind.
yeah.
What is important to you that you would like the Tamily to know?
Kindness. I think we forget that we have to be kind to ourselves. And, you know, I'm a culprit of that too. You know, like sometimes we give ourselves a hard time and we forget that A, we're human. B, we're all doing this, together, even though not together physically, but we're literally going through the same things, and reaching out to somebody, that type of kindness is goes beyond borders. It makes you feel safe, it makes you feel loved, so
Yeah, I think about like this community and how we have that connection with each other, and that it's not really different than before everything that's happening now. Like
exactly,
we all
exactly.
still have
We're all still
that
working out from home.
closeness, right?
Yeah.
That I can't imagine. I mean, I know many other things are different for all of us. It's weird, like
Yeah.
not working or working from home or having to still work
Yeah.
for people that are essential employees and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and so all of those aspects of life are different, but it's kind of amazing to still have the Tamily in the same way. Like,
Exactly. Like, and this, it's great to see, the sense of humor that people still have, or, like when somebody's expressing worry, and like to be able to be there for them, and, be like, it's going to be okay. We've got this. If you need anything, let me know, DM me, message me, FaceTime me. We're so willing to, give ourselves to others right now, which is huge,
right.
like what Christina's doing with her masks, like everybody's like an outpour of, when anything happens, this community is insanely in tune with being human. That is the biggest thing for me, like um Hawk Hustle,
Yeah.
her name, I blanking on her name.
Heather.
Heather. When the Australia thing happened, like all of us just like fucking, put to it. It's insane how we just want to connect, and we're connected in such a bigger way.
Mhm. Yeah. I really can't imagine going through this time without having that kind of connection.
Exactly.
For
And like,
people without that, like it must be so much harder.
yeah, no. I keep telling my old assistant reached out to me, and so I sent her the DVDs for Metamorphoses, and I was like, just do it, Shelby, you'll be happy. And she was like, what if I need help? I'm like, hashtag Tamily, hashtag Tamily shares, hashtag TA real time. I was like, follow all of them, ask me any questions, everybody's gonna help you. And she was like, okay, like, so she's been doing it. She's Metamorphoses like 1 month in. So
That's awesome.
yeah, but
Excellent when we can bring more people into this.
yeah, totally.
Um, so I think that we mostly know the answer to this, but I still want to ask, where do you live and what do you do?
Okay. I live in Philadelphia right now. I'm moving to New Jersey in less than a month. And I am an art director and still life stylist. So I make, for the most part, makeup look pretty or interesting. So and get gifted at breaking things. So I have worked with like Mac, NARS, Urban Outfitters, Abercrombie and Fitch. Depends on what the client wants. I'll come up with solutions to showcase their product in an interesting way.
You've
So
definitely posted some really cool things that you've done.
thank you. It's always hard because like I said, this Instagram, I mostly keep it for working out, and then I forget that I do have a life that is not just working out,
Right.
and I forget to share more things. Um, it's like a confused. I'm not that great at social media. I'm like, all of a sudden you'll see like a picture of something, and I'm like, it's not an ad, guys. I did this.
Right.
And then you don't hear about my work for like months.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
but it's so interesting when, we do get that little like glimpse of what else goes on in our um
yeah,
lives.
I was better at posting. I've I think that now, as my career has evolved and I'm more present in like a set that I'm, directing or something like that, it's hard for me to be like filming, you know, as I'm doing something.
Right.
So, I think that's, I know that I have gotten a little bit more serious at work, and so that I I don't get to, I forget, like I had my little sister as my assistant last year, and it was great because she took all these pictures of me that I would have, like my days are usually from like 7 in the morning till 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., depending on when the set ends. And by 9 p.m., the last thing I want to hear about is a picture.
Right.
Like, because I'm on my feet all day long. So I just want to,
Right.
I forget, what I just went through in a way. Because it's
Right.
between, that's the other thing. Like with Tracy, I feel like I do have the stamina. I stopped dancing all last year because I was more on my feet and moving more, like the pedometer is like, you've 20,000 steps in one day,
Yeah.
like I don't need to dance.
Right.
Really. It's the last thing I need to do right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it is kind of like amazing that, like I can keep my body awake, alert, and for the amount of time that it needs to serve its purpose to be, up,
Yeah, exactly. Very, very key result of the method. Um, what has been a piece of advice that you've gotten from someone else in the Tamily?
I forget who it was, and this was in the beginning when I was doing metamorphosis, and they pointed out you're not using your lower abs well. And I was like, what? And since then, I kid you not, I'm like, where are my abs? Where are my abs? Where are my abs? Like through, like especially when doing planks, I'm like, am I engaging? Where is it? And like, and this, like keeping the space in there. I forget who it was, but it was like 2013 or 14 where this came through, and I was like mind blown. I was like, oh my God, like my posture has been terrible through this whole time. And I noticed such an improvement in a plank or in most every movement by just having that engaged, how like this will sit on my body. And I was like, wow, life changing for me. So
It's funny how those little pieces of advice, like sometimes they can be the most impactful, and
yeah,
they like you carry them with you for years.
for years. Yeah, one of my physical therapists, I remember I was, learning how to sit down, and I was making some face where I was like biting my lips or like pursing my lips, and he's like, "Purse your abs, don't purse your lips." And I was like, "What?" It's like, okay. It's like, got it. So like anytime that I'm doing like an ab workout, that still comes into my head. I'm like,
Wow.
engage abs, don't purse your lips.
That's such an interesting way to put it. That's funny.
Yeah. I was like, that's right. I don't want to purse my lips.
um, so how did you exactly discover the Tamily?
I think I was just working out at home, and I wanted, and it started for a physical purpose because I was like, I didn't know where I was. I called my, like between like my knee and my calf, it looked like chicken legs because it had been in a boot for so long that I had no muscle definition whatsoever, and I hadn't really moved more than PT. So I was, from being an athlete to then just being, it just flesh that had nothing. Like I felt so weak, and I think I wanted like somebody to be like, I'm in this journey with you, like I can help you. And I remember like my first post was just like, here I am, you know, this is me. And I don't like to do those posts anymore because it was such a vulnerable thing for me. Like I was judging myself and putting myself out there to be judged, and I didn't like that. I think no, I don't think I am insecure, you know, as many women are, you know, and here I am, you know, like I wear baggy shit all the time, you know, except when I'm working out. That is the only time that I have things that are tight. Um, and it was, you know, it was weird because Instagram was a new thing, and like seeing other women being like, oh, I'm here too. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is what I'm doing. And you know, that was something that just like made it feel like I'm in a safe zone, you know. And I think for that reason is why I've kept it private, because for me it's such a diary of what I'm going through.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. So was that in 2013 then that you were on Instagram?
That was my first post for Tamily. I had been like peeking and seeing people that did the hashtag Tracy Anderson, and oh, what was her name? How do I not remember this? She was super good friends with Jillian. One of the first girls. Oh my God, wait for it. Oh,
someone in the chat should know.
I know. I'm like, it was like one of the first.
Aurora.
Aurora. Yes. Aurora. Exactly. Thanks, guys. Aurora. And I remember seeing her and her posts, and I was like, you know, that was one of the overwhelming things, I think. Also, you know, like you see all of a sudden like a wave of people following you, and it's like, why are you following? You know, like, you know, I think that's why for me it's like a vulnerability, you know, because I tend to post a lot of personal things that, you know, I think if you're, like I have a friend of mine, Jess, who follows me, who was a coworker, who then started doing Tracy, and I was like, hey, if you want inspiration or advice, I'm here. You know, like it's not like I won't let people follow me. I just so you know, it's a vulnerable space for me, you know.
Right.
And she's like super nice. She'll always comment, and she's like, you know, wow, or like, hey, help, or whatever. So I feel like Aurora in the beginning, when, you know, you would ask her, she was like answering too, and it was pretty epic, you know, like to have that sort. You're like, wow, you're in England and you're responding to my message here.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It really is. I mean, there's no way like we would have these kind of connections in life without...
No, and what is it now? It's like 7 years later, and it's like, you know, this is like what I hate about the algorithm is that I lose touch with people that I had, you know, so much traction with in the beginning, and then, you know, it was Caroline's birthday the other day, and I have it on my computer, and I was like, oh my God, happy belated birthday, you know, like, but it's so many people now that it's hard to keep up, you know, like it's easier now with time, but at work, it's kind of hard.
Right, definitely. And especially because, I mean, it is a close community, but it is getting like larger and larger.
Which is like, it's amazing. I love that it's getting large, but it's like hard to keep track of everybody, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's like wonderful things about it, especially because, I mean, today's our 89th interview. And
I know.
We interview people for years and never, you know, run out of people to interview.
Yeah, exactly.
But then it's like we can't like remember every detail about everyone. But
yeah, that's the catch-22 of like the question of like who inspires you, and it's like, oh my God, there's so many. Right. I'm like, like I should have written them down.
Right. Yes. But we're all here, so you can always find those that inspire online. So we are coming up close to our end.
Ooh,
Time is flying by talking to you.
super fast, yeah.
Um, so anyone that has any questions, you can type them in the chat. But I want to check what we haven't answered yet. One question is, what are you drinking?
Oh, seltzer water, and before it had probiotic. Very boring.
It looks extremely fancy. So
Anything, and this is my thing. Anything in a glass of wine. Like earlier was a smoothie in a glass of wine.
that's perfect.
I'm like, it makes me feel like I'm having a cocktail or a wine. I'll put in what's it called? Hibiscus tea. Like when I'm preparing dinner, so I feel like I'm drinking wine,
Yep.
and then actually when I have wine, I'll drink. Because if
Yeah.
not, half a bottle of wine will be gone in like
Right.
no time.
That's a good theory. I'm gonna start drinking out of wine glasses too. Is your routine now that you always do attain, or how do you?
For the most part, yeah. I think I enjoy the sweat, like feeling like I just left everything on the mat. If I am like a couple of days ago when I had a huge fight with Bill, I did not have the mental capacity to dance. So I feel like it depends on what I'm going through. If I need to purge, I'll dance. For the most part, attain. But if I'm going through something that I can't even figure out in my mind, beginner seems to help me because it's kinder. Like you're focusing on movements that allow you to actually focus on them. Whereas attain, you're focusing on them, but it's a faster pace. Even when they're slow, they still the slow ones seem to have like the kick here, the moving this, and the arm over.
Right.
It's like
Yeah, 9 steps.
yeah.
What do your friends and family think of the Tracy Anderson method?
They respect it a lot because they see how disciplined I am. I've always been disciplined, but I think they see that for me it's fun, and for me it's something that I look forward to. Like Bill knows that on Wednesdays I'm excited, beyond excited, and he's like, "Oh, right, new class." So I'm trying to get his mom and his sister into it. I'm like, "Come on, guys, you can do it too."
Yeah.
Still trying to get my mom.
Sometimes it takes people a long, long time, but
I
you
know.
gotta take time for them. And the right
I'm praying that my
too.
mom will try beginners at some point. I'm like, come on. You're not doing anything? I left, when I went to visit her years ago, I left a pair of weights, like ankle weights and wrist weights and weights. And I'm like, you have everything. It's no excuses.
Right. That's perfect. Have you converted anyone to become a devoted Tracy Anderson method?
Yes, which my sister had done metamorphosis and then stopped, and then she saw my transformation, and I think what my family saw immediately and friends of mine saw immediately too was how my mind, I'm hyperactive by nature, so to just be calm and be more assertive and be more confident in my choices of things. Like not to do Tracy Anderson for Bill, but for him to start exercising. And I keep telling him, your body sounds cheesy again, but like your body is your temple. This is the only thing, the only home that matters. And like if you don't take care of it, you are so fucked.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like right now with everything that's going on, if you don't eat well, if you don't nurture this well, like that exercise is like a hug.
Right. It is so incredibly important.
Yeah. So I have 4 good friends. My old roommate messaged me and she was like, I did it. I signed up. I'm a part of Tracy Anderson. She did the 1-year subscription. And then I have 4 more friends. I'm waiting for them to join the Tamily. And I'm like, come on, guys. You're people that I actually know. Like in real life. Let's do something together.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Yeah. But so I have like 9 that actually have
Wow.
continued to do it in years, you know,
That's awesome.
not just months.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So one other thing I wanted to ask was, did you ever go back to anything with running since you had been so into running before?
No, and you know what? It's actually because of this and just having time on my hands. I'm like, I wonder if I should run, just because I have time and so much energy, but I don't have running shoes anymore. So I'm like, I guess not.
Well, you can just dance.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. I'm like, since when have I danced? Like, it's been years since I've been dancing this much, but not to try and plug it in, but Nike's new shoes, the Super Rep, are amazing for dancing.
Okay.
The cushioning on the heel,
Okay.
I just got them 2 days ago, and I'm mind blown because of the heel cushioning. Sorry.
Okay. Wow, that's like, good to know.
I know. I keep trying to post it, but my Instagram posts don't seem to come up for the last like 3 days.
Yeah, I saw you posted that. Luckily, it worked to show your family interview.
That's it. And I'm like, videos, it's like, no.
Right. That's funny. Well, we are coming up on the last few minutes, and Instagram will cut us off with
okay.
So before we end, is there anything else you would like to say to the Tamily while you have this audience?
Oh, the model of the shoes, it's the Super Rep. I think they're just called Super Rep. They're really weird looking, but worth it. Worth it. I think Maybella had posted something about them. And then it finally took me a couple of months to like figure out if I wanted to spend the money or not. But
it's worth
it. Message me, ask me anything if you guys have questions. I don't know. I'm nice, I think.
We know.
But I love everybody in the Tamily, and if I don't like a post or comment, I'm sorry. Instagram's algorithms are very cruel for this.
Right, they are. Definitely. Well, thank you so much for being open with us and talking to us today, Alexandra. You're a really, really amazing.
Oh my God. Sorry, you. I'm like, you guys are doing this makes it feel more intimate, like having and like it's like you feel closer to everybody because you guys are doing this. Like you guys deserve like an award for this. Seriously.
No way. The 89 of you that have been interviewed deserve an award.
No, it's super amazing because you guys have brought everybody closer, which is like Nicole and you. Like, I hope to do like at some point you guys interview each other.
We'll do that too, but there's so many people to be interviewed. I think, I don't know, we have a list of like 70. So, more than a whole nother year. I can't believe we're already at 89. It's so amazing.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Well, thank you so much for being number 89.
Oh, I loved it.
This interview will be on my story for the next 24 hours, and then it'll go on YouTube in a few days forever.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for this.
Absolutely.
Big kiss.
Bye. Thanks, Tamily. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Stay safe.
Yes.